Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I'm host A, and today I'll be stepping into the role of your systems engineer.
And I'm host B, your project manager. Let's just jump right into it. Have you ever set a really massive goal for yourself? Maybe you wanted to get in perfect physical shape, or you decided you were absolutely going to wake up at dawn to get morning sunlight every single day. You probably started with this roaring fire of motivation, but if you're like most people, that whole effort completely collapsed after just a few weeks.
Right, and we usually just blame ourselves for this. We think we lack discipline or dedication. But today, we are totally reframing habit formation. Based on our source material, we're looking at this not as a motivational issue, but as a strict structural engineering challenge.
Exactly. And to fix a structural issue, we really need a clear project scope. So today's blueprint starts with the structural failure, moves into a brain infrastructure audit, introduces the architect versus the operator, reveals the trigger formula, and finally finishes up with laying your first foundation.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the structural failure, why motivation collapses.
So our first phase here requires conducting a site audit on why our current habit-building systems inevitably crash straight to the ground. The really crucial question is, why do most structural habit changes fail within weeks?
Think of it this way. Relying on sudden massive bursts of willpower is exactly like building a heavy, towering structure without ever calculating the foundation's load capacity. You have this massive initial burst of energy, like a massive vertical spike. But without a foundation beneath it, it rapidly plummets.
You end up right back in your old routines, completely exhausted and frustrated. The internet might try to tell you that you just didn't want it enough, but the science actually shows the failure isn't your character at all. It is simply a flawed structural design.
Which brings us to Section 2, Brain Infrastructure Audit, Surveying the Neural Terrain.
To really understand our construction site, we have to talk about cognitive load. Basically, this is the high mental energy and effort required to process new information or execute unfamiliar tasks.
And here is the fundamental rule of our site audit. Our brains inherently hate energy expenditure. By evolutionary design, your brain is quite literally engineered to minimize energy use at all costs. When you try to force a massive new routine through pure willpower, the cognitive load spikes dangerously high and the system just shuts it down to save power.
Imagine your brain is a dense, incredibly lush jungle. Blazing a brand new path through that thick underbrush with a machete is exhausting, high cognitive load work. That's exactly what it feels like to start a new routine.
Compare that to the paved, zero-friction, multi-lane highways of your established routines, even the bad ones, like mindlessly scrolling the internet. You've used those highway paths so often they require zero energy. Your brain naturally wants to take the easiest route. So to build a new habit, we can't just keep hacking at the jungle until we literally collapse. We have to deliberately engineer a new highway.
Let's move on to Section 3, Architect versus the Operator, meeting the construction crew. It's time to meet your internal crew. First up is the architect, scientifically known as your prefrontal cortex. The architect is brilliant, logical, and highly strategic. It totally understands the future, plans for it, and does the complex mental math. But man, it is an absolute energy hog. Then we have the operator, acting from the basal ganglia. This is your autopilot.
And honestly, the operator is basically an impulsive toddler running heavy machinery. It just wants immediate rewards and comfort right now. But in engineering terms, it's a highly efficient machine that executes familiar actions without even thinking.
The big takeaway here is that relying on the architect to run your daily minute-by-minute routines is a massive structural failure. The architect gets fatigued way too quickly.
Exactly. You have to hand the daily execution over to the operator. The operator doesn't care about your long-term goals. It just responds to cues in its environment. We really need to hack the system and start speaking its language.
And that brings us to Section 4, the trigger formula, hacking the operator.
So, how do we systematically hack this using an engineering mindset? The answer is a trigger. A trigger is a precise, specific, contextual cue, like a time, a location, or an action you already do every single day anyway, that serves as a completely frictionless ignition switch.
Yeah, it's the exact equivalent of pouring the very first layer of concrete for your new behavioral highway. Without this concrete foundation in place, the operator simply won't know it's time to start the machine.
Let's look at the exact sequence we need to follow. Step 1, establish the trigger. Step 2, execute the operator action. But notice the key parameter here, one small shift. Your action has to be incredibly small to bypass the architect's energy limits.
Right, if you want to get fit, do not mandate a 2-hour gym session right out of the gate. The architect will veto that immediately. Instead, make the action tiny, specific, and totally manageable.
like exactly 10 morning squats. Finally, step 3, repeat for structural integrity. You execute this tiny action every single day until it hardens into a permanent automatic neural highway.
Let's wrap up with section 5, laying your first foundation, project handover. Let's actually break down the exact mechanism of a morning light habit by systematically applying this blueprint. The alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. That's just a signal. But the moment your bare feet actually touch the floor, boom, that is the trigger, the ignition switch for the operator. Immediately, you execute the small shift action. You literally just walk over and open the curtains. That's it. You don't need to run a marathon. You just open the curtains for 10 minutes. And the reward? You get to feel that amazing morning sunlight. To make it even easier, our sources suggest pairing it with something you already enjoy, like a podcast, to make the operator favorite. This tiny, frictionless system locks the entire behavioral structure into place.
Our sources leave us with this really grounded scientific reminder. Change is a direction, not a destination. We aren't looking for motivational quick fixes or some overnight transformation. We are engineering long-term structural integrity.
For sure, doing one tiny thing consistently, whether it's getting healthier or learning something small, is a massive success compared to setting some impossible goal and changing absolutely nothing at all.
So, we're gonna leave you with this challenge. What is your exact trigger for tomorrow morning?
Yeah, don't just tell us you're gonna work out more. Give us the actual blueprint. What is the specific, completely frictionless trigger you are going to use to kick off your own one small shift? Engineer your trigger, pour that first layer of concrete, and let your operator start building that highway. Thanks for joining us on this explainer, and we will see you next time.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have some really amazing tips to share with you, not over make a big difference. If you enjoyed this, please that subscribe button. See you next time.